Hello there, welcome to Fridays at Noon. I'm Michael Chen, the executive producer and director for this talk show series. Fridays at Noon is a bi-weekly lunch and learn series that offers education on professional development topics to the University of Denver employees. For more information and to view past videos, please visit du.edu/HR and click on the People Development link. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show.
And bring your lunch.
And bring your lunch.
Welcome to Fridays at Noon. I'm Greg Giesen, Manager of People Development, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Shannon Seals, our training consultant, also from People Development, and today we're going to talk about why goal setting matters. We're also going to share with you some creative ideas of how to do it to get everybody involved. So, welcome, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. My voice is a little hoarse today because of the Bronco game last night. So that's kind of what's going on with me, just so you know.
Okay.
I know it's kind of a sexy, low voice. So. Now,
my husband has the same voice.
Yeah,
He's screaming at the television.
That was a tough game. So in many organizations, goal setting, for whatever reason, tends to be a have to instead of a get to. Why do you think that is?
I think people attach goal setting to something you have to do as part of a process instead of seeing it as something you want to do for personal gain. So my hope is that we can start to change that a little bit and really allow our employees and our managers to see what they gain personally from setting goals.
So, okay, on that line, who should be more motivated to set goals, the employee or the employee's manager?
Well, I, as an employee myself, think the employee should be more motivated for a couple reasons. Most importantly, because goals are tied to their end-of-year performance. It's not common at organizations for employees to have a say in what they're rated on at the end of the year. And here at DU, our employees have that power.
Okay. What's the advantage for the manager, though?
Well, the manager can use goal setting to reinforce good performance and behaviors by setting goals around that, or they can use it to improve for areas of opportunity where an employee might be struggling with their performance or their behavior.
Okay. Just to be honest here, what I've discovered, kind of part of my assessment, and it's based on kind of how my experience with goal setting is, when it's only once a year, what I tend to do is, and I bet there's a lot of people like me, I'll put some time into setting them, and then I kind of forget about them until performance review time comes around, and then I kind of look at them again. Do you think once a year is part of the problem with goal setting?
It can be, and actually the system asks people to put goals in once a year, but I would strongly encourage people to set goals every month, every quarter, or for the entire year. The end date in the system is editable. I think, again, because people see it as a step in a system, they only do it when the system requires it. That's not at all best practice. So people can you could set a goal for every project you're working on. You could set a goal for every quarter. And once you reach that goal, you could set another short-term goal.
Yeah, because I think people right now, at least there's a tendency to associate it with an annual process, right?
Right.
So that's another kind of mind-changing thing.
Exactly.
To do, yeah. That seems to make a lot more sense. So if you had to answer the sentence or complete the sentence, the purpose of goal setting is to...
The purpose of goal setting is to grow as an employee. So employees set goals so they can identify opportunities for themselves to grow, and managers cascade or assign goals so that they can identify opportunities for their employees to grow.
Okay. So who actually sets the goals, and how many would you recommend they have?
Okay. So when we rolled this new performance cycle out about a year and a half ago, we set the expectation that employees would set 2 for themselves and managers would cascade or send down about 2 per employee. We wanted that so that people would get in the habit of goal setting. The truth is, we're not counting. So if an employee wants to set 3 for themselves and the manager only wants to cascade 1, that's totally fine. What we don't want people to do is have 18 goals in their goal plan that they're working on, because goals are meant to be a development opportunity or an opportunity for growth in addition to the job description or requirements. So 18 is just not realistic. There's no way to meet those expectations.
So should the goals be like big, or can they be small?
They can absolutely be small. I recently helped an employee who just wanted to improve a process. It was going to take them about a month, but it's something that had been shoved under the rug over and over again, or a low priority. They set in 1 month 4 small steps to reach that short-term goal. And because each step was manageable, there was a time they completed it in, they were able to do that. Some people really prefer to look further ahead. That's fine too, but the employees and managers need to use it how it suits them best.
So you kind of answered this, but how engaged should the employee be in this process to really get the most out of it?
Very. They should be driving it.
Yeah.
The employee should really be driving the process. We now, in employee orientation, let all of our new employees know on day 1 that they're responsible for identifying something in their first 30 days that they may be able to improve, or some way they may be able to grow. And we're really empowering the employees to drive that goal setting from their very first day here at DU.
All right, so an employee sets 3 goals, a supervisor cascades 2, and then I guess the supervisor approves of the 3 that the employees set, right?
Yes.
Or works with them on it.
Yep.
And then what happens?
So we are, last year when we rolled out this process, we had this approval step where employees needed to get their goals approved by their manager, but if the manager assigned goals, they were automatically approved. We've heard the feedback. We got a lot of response that managers, the process is getting stuck, because managers are verbally saying, oh yeah, those goals are good, but not going into the system and clicking the button. So we're changing that. When we roll out goal setting for the new 16-17 year, the employees' goals will be seen by the manager without being approved or asking for approval automatically, and they will automatically feed into their appraisal form at the end of the year. So we've taken out that button clicking step, and we're really empowering employees and managers to talk about the goals face to face and then call it good and not have to click a button in the system.
Yeah, okay, all right. And you've kind of addressed this too. Goals can be changed during the year. And is that pretty easy to do? You just go in the system and you can just edit it?
Yep. Sometimes if they've already been put in an approved state, there's a little button you have to click that says, I want to reopen the plan. Okay. We're currently assessing whether that's a necessary step or not as well. We're really trying to make the system as easy as possible so that people can focus on the process of communicating and not clicking buttons.
Yeah. Now, I know on the website, which is, what's the website?
du.edu/performance.
Okay. It talks about SMART goals.
Right.
In layman's terms, like, what's a SMART goal?
Okay. People get really stuck on the acronym trying to figure out what each letter stands for. We really want your goals to be something you can actually achieve and you can measure at the end. So in the most simplistic terms, that's what's important. The acronym actually stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. But you can kind of sum those all up in, can you actually accomplish it? And if so, how do you know you've been successful? And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, if you can answer that, then.
Yep.
So what's the responsibility of the manager between the time that the goals are set and the performance review?
Okay. This is the single most important part of managing employees' performance. The responsibility of the manager, once the goals have been set for the year, in that 9 or 10 month span until appraisals are done, is to regularly check in with their employee. Give them feedback. How are they doing? Are they making progress on their goals? Are they meeting some unique challenges that the manager needs to offer support or resources for? And also to kind of keep the employee on track.
Yeah.
So those check-in meetings are the most important piece. If people only do goal setting and appraisals, they're completely missing the boat on the purpose of performance management.
Because then it sounds like a have to again instead of a get
Exactly.
to. And it also sounds like the system or the manager might be driving the process where, as you were saying, if the employee drives it, right? Does the employee have a responsibility between setting the goals and performance review?
Yeah, you just said it. If the employee is truly wanting to drive and improve and get feedback on their own performance, then they'll help make sure those check-in meetings happen. And they'll come to those meetings with a progress report on how they're doing and a list of resources and support they might need.
Yeah. Okay. So if you had to give advice to employees, like right now watching this, what would you say to them?
I would say to the employee, it's unusual for an organization to empower you to have a say in your own performance management and your own outcomes and your own score for merit at the end of the year. So take that opportunity and identify ways that you want to grow and you can grow. Use the resources available to you here at DU and drive the process.
Okay, and what would you say to the managers?
To the managers, I'd say the same thing. You have just as much to gain. You can get the most productivity out of your employees. You can see the most growth. You can see the most improvement in efficiencies if you really track their professional development and their performance progress and give them continual feedback.
You know, the one thing I noticed too is, and this would be, I guess, go along in the advice category, is some people leave their goals on the system.
Yep.
And it's easy to forget about it because you have to go into a program. And that if they took the goals and also printed them out and put them on the wall, you know, and actually made them a part of their office, I think there'd be much more attention given to it, you know, as opposed to just leaving it, you know, in a program.
I love that idea. When I do one-on-one coaching with someone about how to set goals and track their progress on those goals, I actually have a handout that has a picture of a tack on the corner that I encourage them to print their goals on and tack them up on a board somewhere. I agree, that visual reminder has a big impact.
So are there creative ways to do goal setting or out-of-the-box kind of thinking to make it interesting for some people?
Yeah, absolutely. I recently did a retreat with a unit here on campus where they wanted to set some team goals where they could reinforce their new vision and mission by having some goals that the whole team was working on. We set those goals as a group. Everyone really bought into the importance of them. They saw how those goals were reinforcing the vision and mission, not only of their unit, but of DU as a whole, which I think makes those goals a lot more powerful. So that's a really great way. Another idea that I've seen, which I really love and would like to encourage here in our department, is allowing each employee or empowering them to set one personal development goal that will feed into their appraisal, because I think people lose sight of the fact that a mentally and healthy bodied employee or person makes a great employee. So allowing employees to look at their well-being and health in order to set some goals around that is a great idea too.
And what about professional development?
Absolutely. So that's usually what people think of when they're setting goals, professional development. And we have a variety of ways to meet those goals and set those professional development goals. Supervisors can cascade goals and encourage employees to use the Colorado 14ers program, the classes within it, to meet those goals. There's also a lot of out-of-the-box ideas in that program that people can use. Attending conferences, speaking at staff meetings, mentoring new employees. All of those are opportunities to set professional development goals.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, when you're thinking of goals, you're thinking of the work you do and what could I do better. But what we're really talking about is much broader than that. It is how can I develop professionally, like you were saying. And for those that don't know where to go and they feel stuck in creating a goal, they just have to go to the 14ers program. They could either do, you know, a pathway, a whole series of classes, or they could do, you know, classes here and there, lynda.com. I mean, we've got tons of resources
Absolutely.
that could stimulate the goal setting piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people think, oh, training, I have to go to training class,
Yeah.
that's how I have to meet a goal.
Yeah.
Those programs reinforce that there are a variety of resources and opportunities within people development to meet and set goals.
Yeah. And you had mentioned doing a retreat where they came up with group goals or team goals. That would also be a great place for people to share their individual goals with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you could hold each other accountable and support each other in that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Because it seems like, and I'm stereotyping, but we've only scratched the surface with goal setting here on campus. I mean, there's so much more in depth we could get with it.
Absolutely. And I think long term, the focus will start to shift organization wide away from scores and once a year appraisals to really ongoing feedback and ongoing goal setting. And instead of having a cycle, we'll have waves throughout the year where we're doing those things.
Yeah, it's almost like at the minimum, if it was quarterly.
Absolutely.
And they'd probably have more meaning because you're regularly in touch with them and regularly setting them.
Yes.
So where do people go to learn more about this?
So a lot of resources are on the website, du.edu/performance management.
Okay.
Anybody can also email performance management at du.edu, and that email box is always being checked.
Yeah, and also you can always get one-on-one coaching, right?
Yes.
I mean, we've got 3 or 4 coaches here on staff and people development to think through and identify a goal. There's also the people development website, on the same HR website, which has the Colorado 14ers and all these other details of where they can get their goals. So there's no shortage of resources.
There isn't, and I'm seeing more and more people gaining comfort in reaching out one-on-one or as a team and asking for support around development and goal setting. So that's great.
All right. So, well, thank you for visiting.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us. And remember, goals should be a get-to, not a habit.